Yeah, I love
Yes.
it, Ronnie. That's
Welcome
so
back,
awesome.
everybody, to an episode of Comics Della Morte, episode 37, One Drop of Blood. And I hope everyone liked that new intro. I spent probably about an hour or so just working on that because I figured that we needed something new. So, I want to eventually take that same intro and maybe put some clips in there from the books that we really enjoy just to promote those artists in the intro as well. But
For
yeah,
sure.
I was
That's cool.
happy.
Yeah, I like
And
it.
as always,
That's really
I'm
cool.
Ronnie. I'm Ronnie Gunter, Crimson Owl Comics, my co-host, Frogbreaker Studios, Jason Alexander. And of course, before we get into the chapter, we are going to promote ourselves. Go ahead, Jason, my friend.
Oh, you know what it is. Minicomicbundles.com. Let me show y'all what we got cooking over there real quick. 3 comics a month. Each issue is limited to 250 copies. After they're gone, no more will be printed. They're 8 pages a piece, so you get 24 pages of comic delivered to your door every month. It's $60 for an annual sub. You can do $5 recurring, but we're going into month 7. So how long that part goes, I just don't know, because you got to pay about $35 to get caught up now. So just get the whole year, guys. Year subscription gets you access to all this stuff going on in the background. The web comics is really what you're going to be here for. Like, this is going to be fun. And this is going to be fun. But, like, I talk so much. I'm always talking about what's coming up next. You get Aaron's physical year 2019 Inktober story. Phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. I
Yeah,
got
that's a
my
really good
copy and I
story.
was giddy. It really, really is. But the web comics, y'all, that's what you want to see. Me and Aaron has spent almost a year now telling these minis. And you want to see what we can do when we get into a story that, we're not limited. Like, we're just like letting it go. And
Oh, yeah.
like the story that's leading off is, I think, is really going to be very, very exciting and pleasing to the readers. But on the site now, guys, we got actual sample comics. You can read the entire issue 3 of Hourglass, which is our first 6-month story.
Really good story.
This was artistically, or I shouldn't say artistically, because Aaron's a super dope artist, but visually, I think this is one of my favorite books. It just had like some very, like, to see these pictures at 1/8 comic size is bananas, but we had a blast with it. Also, we got a horror story called The Drive-In. We got a superhero story called Green Roses from one of our early bundles. I think this was from our first bundle, but you can read all those so you can get a feel for that. You're getting real stories. Like, they're minis, but these are like crafted. Like, we put effort into these. There's time into these. These stories have worlds behind them. So essentially, for $60, you get to watch us build a universe. And I think that it's a pretty robust universe. So, guys, check minicomicbundles.com. Find me on Instagram. I promote a lot of the stuff from the minis, but that's also where you're going to find out some of my side projects or some of my primary projects, really, because Ransom Notes is that story. But that's where I'll talk about that more. I'm kind of starting to dip my toes into the YouTube game, so stay tuned. Fallbreaker Studios everywhere you go. Jason Alexander on Facebook. Find me, like me, subscribe to me, buy my comic books. You will enjoy the ride. That's all I got to say about that. It's all yours now, Ronnie. Thank you for your time, brother.
Not a problem. And before we get in, I would like to say thank for stopping by, Kamikaze, and then Good Eats as well.
Rude Eats, baby. He ain't no good. That's Rude Eats.
If anybody doesn't know, that's my brother and our old childhood friend. And I don't know when my brother wants to do it, but just to promote my brother, Rude Eats. Eventually, he wants to create a cooking channel, and why he calls it Rude Eats, because he wants to make the last meals that all serial killers asked for.
Oh, hello! Yikes! Yeah. That's pretty. That's kind of right in our wheelhouse. Like that's
right?
kind of
Yeah,
like
he's
I like it.
yeah. And for me, you could I actually hadn't I didn't put it up on Mother's Day because I was just too tired that day. But go on my Instagram, you will see the Mother's Day drawing where instead of like a zombie, I did like a mother vampire and her two kids. And you could literally see like the blood dripping from all three of their mouths, and then the boy giving his mother. Oh, can you hear me or
I
no?
can't hear you. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Let anyone know in the chats if you can't hear me.
Uh-oh. Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear
Okay.
you.
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry about that, y'all. I was having some
Okay.
technical
No.
difficulties. I think my I was trying to turn my phone off, and I think that my Bluetooth
Okay.
connected.
Gotcha.
All right.
No,
I was trying to
but
avoid that happening.
like I said, I had mother vampire and the vampire daughter and the vampire son, and I thought it would be nice that he gave his mother flowers, but instead of a regular vase, he put the flowers in a skull. So I thought that was a nice touch. You know, very it wasn't very creepy, but it's still like demented in a
It
way.
left.
You know,
Yeah, it got the message across. Like I think
yeah,
it was on brand for sure.
yeah, yeah. So that's fun, and then yeah, just pushing out writing out the script for a vengeful heart so that way by the end of the month I could have at least one or two episodes out on
Yo,
Tapas.
I just got my first sneak peek at the script, guys, and
Yeah,
it's jamming. Like it was
yeah,
a Ronnie's holding this one pretty close to the vest. Like I didn't even really get as much as I would have expected to get, but it was good. It was good. I definitely want to see more, Ronnie.
oh yeah, for sure. So let's get into the story. What did you
Let's
think of
do it.
episode 37? Oh, also,
Uh,
guys, next week is our 1 year anniversary. So
that is next week. It seemed like that was gonna take forever to get here.
yeah,
But
yeah,
also, that Wednesday, I'm going to be on the Global Frequency YouTube channel.
awesome.
So check those guys are doing awesome work with their Mavericks comic too. So y'all should check that out. It looks like it's gonna be a pretty fun project. So you should back it for sure.
Oh, we got someone in the house, Mr. Peter
Retro, what's up,
Palmiotti.
man? How's it going?
Retro. Oh man, thanks for stopping by. Like
Yeah,
we
man,
said,
that's awesome.
next week is our 1 year anniversary. For the 1 year, we're gonna have Gary on, me, him, and Jason here. We're gonna do like a little fun game. Oh, Gary, what's up?
Oh, is Gary in
Just
the
talking
chat?
about you.
What's
Yeah.
up, man? How's it going?
Talking about for the 1 year anniversary, we're gonna like have like this generator that's gonna come up with a random monster, and we're just gonna have to write a quick story on the fly for it.
Woo, I'm a little teeny bit nervous on that one, but I like to see what I come up with.
Right, right, right. So that'll be awesome. But yeah, well, I get this story up. What did you think of this
Okay,
chapter?
visually, I know we've talked about the oranges and the
Hmm.
colors in this chapter, but visually differently this time, I enjoyed this one the most. And part of that, it just felt directed, like it felt cinematic.
Hmm.
And like I said, maybe that's psychological because I see more Stephen King movies than you would visually see a Stephen King book. But
Yeah.
just like looking at like I'm looking at this panel right here
Hmm.
with the eyes. Like, oh, let me see.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where'd it
Exactly.
go? This one. Like there's so much emotion in this guy's
Hmm.
eyes here. Like just like usually because this is on my phone, I'll scroll through the whole thing before I really read it. And there was just like so much information. And I'll get back to where the story starts in just a second. But
Yeah.
this story felt was very like we said before, the pacing was very up. Like it was a
Hmm.
quick read. but the pacing was really up. And to start in this classic space with the narrator, and a lot of the Stephen King's chapters start with the narrator.
Yeah.
And
He's
it
telling the
just gives
story.
it gives it that spaghetti western feel right off the bat. And they're, headed into town looking for Skinner Sweet, or out of town really looking for Skinner Sweet. And that's where the story kicks off.
I just love this one panel shot. I mean, that just be nice as a poster, not even if it doesn't have a lot of horror to it. It's just a nice panel.
Right. Yeah, it's like when you have an ongoing book and you're reading it digitally without covers. Like this page felt enough like a cover to get you invested in the story.
Yeah, for sure. And like we were talking
every
about,
character.
that you see the narrator, the author of the book, pretty much right here as what he looks like now, and this part would have been him, like, I guess, I don't know, probably 30 years back. I can't really remember how old he was at that point, but yeah, just even love the lettering here. It has like that old Western style to it.
Yeah, it's a cool opening panel. It really, really is.
Yeah,
just everything done well.
Yeah, I like the contrast of the colors here too. Just very nice.
Yeah, something that was like interesting about the first half of this story was even though that they're looking for Skinner Sweet, it just felt like a Western story again.
Yeah,
like it was
really did
very well done that way, And I'm not a huge Western fan, but I enjoyed just it. You could hear the voices, you could feel the heat. You knew like what the tension was building towards, and they like Skinner Sweet has become this urban legend almost, to where everybody's got a Skinner Sweet story about how they almost killed him or he almost killed them.
Yeah. And they're just talking here about, the day how like Sweets actually got attacked by that European vampire. And they're all like really doubting, hey, what we saw, was it really? Because, during that time, or anyone, if they saw something supernatural that they can't explain, you're either going to accept it right away or you're going to doubt it.
Yep.
So that's pretty much what they're just talking about. Is like, is Sweets really alive and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's like you're almost trying, they're trying to convince themselves that it's not as scary. It's not as scary as it sounds. Like these Skinner Sweet stories, they are trying to shut down their programming almost, or at least talking about it. It's and it's also laying the groundwork for a lot of this story. Laid the groundwork for what to expect with the different sides of the vampires. It explores the strengths and the weaknesses a little bit more, and
for sure.
They acknowledge that like where you are now on the page is where you're acknowledging like this world does have a history with vampires, so they are acknowledged at least in this world, which is just interesting. Yes, Raphael Albuquerque killed in this book. We talk about it every week, Peter. Like just the artwork, and for me, this was my favorite. This was my favorite issue.
Oh yeah, Ralph does some amazing work.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
But yeah, pretty much here they're just discussing about like pretty much what we've been wondering all this time. Why is it that American vampires are so different from, European vampires with like immune to sunlight, but yet they're very weak when there's no moon out and stuff like that. So it seems like more and more as the issues go by, we're getting more of like pretty much the origin and why that is. But like we were just talking about, Raphael just really doing good artwork here.
Yep. Yeah, like this page with the cowboy looks like a painting. Like it looks like a zoomed in section of one of those paintings, like one of those 1800s paintings. Just everything is like mood in this story, and I enjoy it for the
Mhm.
the muted backgrounds that it has a lot. I really enjoyed this story. As far as the looks of it goes.
But yeah, like you were saying with the painting, like when you look at like the story with Pearl in like the 1920s, like the
Yep.
almost the line work is more solid, while some of this is like more sketchy in the Western times. I really like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always these little visual cues that we've gotten. And
Hmm.
I bet you like going back and looking at this book, you'll pick up even more. They direct the scene with a lot of like non-drawn out things, like even as far
Yeah.
as like the art style goes.
Hmm. For sure. But yeah, so pretty much at this point, they're just right outside of the cave. If you don't remember before, uh, right here was that head that pretty much Sweets let out to let people know that, hey, if you come this way to mess with me, I'm gonna fuck you up. Pretty much.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like don't go in it, don't go any further than this point.
yeah. But like you said, just with the sketching, like these two cowboys right here, I mean, not very detailed, but it gets the image a point. And pretty much as a comic book artist, if you're writing a book, no matter if it's like a 6 chapter book comic or like a one floppy 22 page book, you have to decide what panels really deserve more detail and which ones just deserve, like, not saying it's not good, but like a quick draw and not focus too much on detail to just get the panel done. But yeah, just the detail here in the faces, like I said, with this, you just see more like their
It's
detail.
all good. Like, look at this guy
Mhm.
on the end here with the binoculars. I
Right?
love it. Like the faces all are. It's just such a cool story. It's such a cool story,
Yeah.
man. And
Yeah.
it's like these guys are still like peeking in on Skinner Sweet
Hmm.
and wondering why he's not aging, but they're watching him from a distance. That's why they have the binoculars, right? Because they don't want to
Yeah.
get too close still.
And I love too how like Raphael, because if people don't remember, these two guys here, the two close-up ones, why they look so
Yep.
similar, because if I remember, they're twins, but even though that they're twins, you could see the characteristics of them being twins, but he decided to like give one a little bit of a different nose and stuff like that. So I just like love that detail.
It's a cool touch. Like their
Hmm.
mouths are just enough alike. And then now you're starting to see like this is what
Uh-oh.
happens when you get close.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. Sometimes you press the wrong button. All right. Go back. Do.
So
So
let me
I'll
see.
let while you're
I'll
talking.
pick up
Oh,
where
there you
we are. I
goes.
can get it on my phone.
But I love that this right here is a great shot.
Yeah,
Looking through the binoculars,
it is.
it's it's a cliffhanger.
Because
Yeah,
you're standing on the you're standing right on the edge of
yeah,
like where these guys are. And like
mhm,
this is like the veil. Like this is where everything changes. It's like you can look at it from here, but once you get further than this, like this is like the domain of Skinner Sweet. And this first panel with Skinner Sweet on it, man,
yeah,
it reminds me of that old Spawn cover, you
mhm,
know, just the pose of it is just awesome.
yeah,
And it's like he's really like coming into his power,
mhm, right.
almost like he's learning how strong he is now.
And I just had to do a close up because I like how, as a comic book artist, especially with like guys like Seth MacFarlane and stuff like that, you don't always have to have like your art in box. Literally, you could tell like the circles represent the binoculars that he's looking through. So yeah, change up the
Right.
panels, like make it like entertaining and something different.
Yeah, it's dynamic is what it
It
is.
really
Like your
is.
eyes, like you kind of soak it all in with your eyes. And
Yeah.
obviously it's what you do because that's how your eyeballs work. But what
hmm
I'm saying is like you can look at this entire page
Yeah.
before like and enjoy it before you really like get into each individual um panel, if you want to call
hmm
them that. But like you said,
For sure.
it's so different like looking through like the binocular holes. And
hmm
like we were talking before we got on live, it feels more cinematic than any other chapter so far. It's just it feels like it's directed as in cinema almost. Like the
Yeah.
cameras
Yeah.
are like very well placed.
hmm
Just a really, really good chapter. And
Well, yeah.
not a whole lot of
Because
need for words in a Stephen King
yeah,
story.
yeah, because with Stephen King, he's a first a horror novelist. He
Yeah.
literally hone his skills to pretty much like find ways to make something terrifying without people talking and just going into description on how like a place looks or how a creature presents themselves by standing or walking. So I
Yeah.
could just imagine like Raphael just almost like uh a fangirl or whatever, just reading Stephen King's writing and just seeing how like depicted it is with just scenes that have no action, no words in it, and just like detail and action.
Yeah. Just really, yeah, really strong visual
hmm
storytelling.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, I love these torches. Like this is just such a cool page.
Oh yeah, sure. And pretty much he's saying here, Fang's almost gone, and my skin. This is just pretty much him talking about like how, if there's no moon out, they
I was gonna
gain,
say this is
they're
him
weak.
with a new moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the American vampire really does seem a lot like a werewolf. Like visually, the where they get their strength from.
hmm
And again, like I don't want to read too far ahead because I'm enjoying the story. Like I'm
Yeah.
enjoying the ride of this story much more than I would have thought I would have even after the second chapter.
hmm
But no, like I've really gotten into this story. It's always fun to read.
But man, I just love this scene, like this one here. Like you were saying, you just got the gold, the torches, and then you just got all the bodies laying around that he drained. Man, really
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
And
It's
that's the
just
thing. It's like it's one of those things like Sweets. He started off as like a creep, then a good guy, then a unlikable guy. So it's like you really don't know how to feel for him. He's almost like uh, you know, almost like a vigilante or not a vigilante, almost like an anti-hero in a way.
yeah.
hmm
It's funny because you've almost seen Skinner Sweet is kind of in his chrysalis right now.
Yeah.
Like he was this candy loving like outlaw
hmm
who was murdered and turned into a vampire who enjoyed, raising hell as Skinner Sweet, but still, just using his new powers just as like a weapon. But now it's like now he's withdrawn and now he has this like almost like a tomb. He has a
hmm
tomb almost, which is kind of like his cocoon, right? Where he's just kind of like held inside of it. And he's learning about what his body changes to and like when it's weaker. And
Yeah.
so he's like, well, now he's learning about what he is, and this is after being underwater all the time. So it's like he's changing. And
Yeah. And
it's exciting to watch.
mhm. And pretty much this is like when he finds out because he's talking about like how he's weak and tired, and he's like, no moon. Is that the difference? So
Yeah.
pretty much here, hopefully we actually find out. I don't know because, like I said, I haven't read ahead, so I really can't determine like more on like the whole like like almost like anthology behind it. But I love the story and I love the idea.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to just go along for the ride. And when the artwork is always going to be fun, and you got two good writers that are writing like at a very high level in this story, you're fine to just go along for the ride. And you're fine for these moments where the action just turns to cowboy slapstick. You don't you're fine to just kind of just let it mellow out every once in a while. It's just really, really good.
I like this panel here. Just sort of the simple fact is like it just gets to the point and your eye goes directly to where it needs to be. He didn't draw the whole background, and he didn't even draw the rest of the body. All he wants you to focus on is the two twins having their heads smacked together by their leader. And, that's it. So again, anybody new coming into art, this is just Raphael is a good example to look at on how to make something dynamic and powerful, but without going into like too much like detail on like, okay, what does this belt look like and everything.
Yeah. It was just, this chapter was a blast, and I really liked this part in particular because this is like the first like non-vampire plot twist that we've had, where the narrator is now a sleazeball.
Right? Exactly.
He's also like you said before, he's also one of these backstabbers where it's like this whole world is who's gonna turn on each other first. Like we saw it last week with Hattie and Pearl, and now it's this guy who's on this troop with these cowboys that are supposed to be protecting him as a storyteller, and now he's turning on one of them.
Well, the thing is that Sweets hates these guys because they were part of Sweet's gang until they betrayed him.
Right.
So, he's out for vengeance.
Yep.
And pretty much here in the middle of the night, I guess Sweets had took the father. So if you remember me Pappy, so I believe that's his daughter because I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Because this is like almost 20 years later, and before, as soon as Sweets died, we saw him getting his child baptized and everything. So it's a big jump and leap with everything. But I just love you could see the terror in her eyes for her father, and just really great. Oh my gosh, it's just I love it. And when an artist is able to depict emotions and eyes, and he did a really good job here. But yeah, pretty much now we see the European vampires. They're in the exact same place, so they're just wondering: are they going to let the outlaws do their thing, or are they going to take over and do what they need to? But they're just as curious as the humans, because Sweets is definitely the first American vampire. So they're just even saying themselves, nighttime is the time of the traditional vampire, and they always make the most of it. And just great stuff here. But it's great to see how like a lot of these characters that we saw from the 1920s, that you actually get to see their storyline too. Like you have like the bald-headed guy, the one with the beard, and the the Larry looking like guy. Just hope we get to have more of a backstory with them as well.
Yeah, and like look at like with the definitely.
Yeah.
With this, this vampire with the red collar here, he's so dark in the later stories that he would never have like this slapsticky face. But because he's so much younger, like what changed him? Like what turned him into this Godfather type character of the European vampires years later,
Yeah, for sure. But I just, oh my gosh, great facial expressions.
Yeah.
So pretty much now we got the father, the leader of the group, who is actually, if I'm not mistaken, one of Sweet's like closest friends, because I think he was the one on the train talking to Sweets, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'd have to go back to be super sure, but I'm pretty sure you're right about that.
But yeah, now we get into the good part. Literally, Sweetsy's like, okay, I'm weak. I can't really draw blood right now because my fangs pretty much retracted. But he gets his revenge. He's burning that sucker. And just like me and Jason talked about before, we love the sound effects. How like you could actually imagine like the hissing sound.
Yeah. And it's like it was enough to give Skinner a little bit of transformation.
Yeah.
You know, like but again, like here's a panel where we get to see the action. It's not silhouetted out. There's no aftermath. Like this is where this story like is really at its best, is when they show like these tense, intense moments.
Yeah.
Because you got to see them. Because it's good sometimes when this is my last thing, Ronnie. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, it's fine.
But
it's fine.
It's sometimes you got to see it. Sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you can't just hold it off or like make it implied. Sometimes it counts, you know. And there's a line. The last story, I think we've said it before, but I felt like it crossed that line. But
yeah,
this story, these moments have been so well placed that they've mattered when they've happened. So just another good example of visual storytelling.
Yeah. And for like a comic book artist, like if you're going to write horror or like action, I really love like the technique that he went here to pretty much like show like the part of the face like that's being burnt, that you could kind of see like the eye there, but you know, it's pretty much like all hidden to show the audience member what the damage is going to look like.
Right. Because it's like it's melting his skin, but it's really hard to convey that in a still shot. So both of these panels did it really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sweets, he burnt his face. So this man is in pain. And then Sweets decided to just slice his throat open. And I can imagine having your throat being slit open, being painful. But this man's skin is like burn, worse than any sunburn you would ever have. So I could just imagine like the pain that he's feeling now, just having like a cut across like his 3-degree burns. Goodness.
Listen to Ronnie. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Yeesh. That is just intense, man. I love it.
And I love this panel right here with the whole flickering of the match to get that fire.
It's so money. It's so money.
It is great.
Yeah.
Like Raphael, he probably didn't take too long to do that, but I just love the action here.
Yeah, there's so much energy in that picture. Like you can see
for sure.
Like there's 3 points of this match. There's the beginning, it's striking the box, and then it igniting. It's just very fun to look at. It really, really
for sure. And now we just have Jim and everyone facing Felix, and they're like, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to set him on fire? We really don't know how to take down this vampire. And she's just pretty much warning her father, you know, pretty much don't go there. And well, the time is never right for some things, but then I don't know, was this his daughter? Because I think
I certainly hope not, because you are making it you're making this a different kind of stuff. You're making a different kind of story, Roddy.
Because they did show his parts with his daughter.
Yeah, that was like in the flashback. Now this is like the romance from the other cowboy.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right. This is like as time went on, like this is her seeing her dad go off to certain death, and now she's watching her man go off to certain death after Skinner Sweet in here, after he's boiled this man's face off.
Yeah, so the man that boiled his face off, that was her father. So yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, folks, I'm tired here.
I love it.
Yeah. But man, and I love just the detail here in the face. Like you could actually see the muscle tone a little bit. But yeah. But man, good stuff though.
Every panel was like
Mm-hmm.
a logical next step. Like, and you would feel like it was too much information if this was told any other way, because it was had a couple, I guess, the flashbacks, but it was very linear. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If the story just went like through one individual beat, but it was good the whole way through. It never felt boring or anything.
Yeah, and I love this shot too. It's like you got Sweet's not like very detailed, but it gets the message apart that he's like, okay, I'm feeling better now. Now I'm gonna kill some people.
Yeah, he's got some energy now. He had a little bit of protein.
For sure.
You know.
But now we're just getting this awesome fight scenes, and it's like Sweet's like, okay, you bastard, I'm powerful, but it's like you could still pretty much
he's weak enough to get hurt.
Yeah.
He's weak enough to get hurt. This guy knows how to fight.
Exactly. And just like we talked about last week, just the gunfire sound effects, everything, Raphael makes it more dramatic and makes it really amazing. So I wonder if he actually hand draws it himself. He probably does.
I would imagine so. It's very unique. Like every sound effect is different, but this gun sounds the same, but all the shots look different. Like this one
for
is
sure.
full blood. Yeah, like, very, very, very good color work.
Yeah, especially this panel right here. This is some really good coloring right here. Just the firing of the gun.
See that just on a t-shirt, just that scene on a t-shirt.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Nuts. So good. It looks like a Quentin Tarantino storyboard almost. Right. You know.
And the thing is that I love the lighting because you're in a cave. So of course, when you shoot off a gun, it's going to make things bright for like a few seconds. So, really love that sequence. And yeah, just Sweets is trying to protect himself. And he's thinking that, hey, I'm going to be able to take them on even without a full moon. But yeah, it's like, you're dead wrong.
Yeah.
But instead of Sweets killing this guy, he had different plans because, like I said, unlike his other gang, this was like his best friend. He trusted him. He was like his right-hand man, and he's like, you know what? I got better ideas for you, and that's why the title's called One Drop. He literally is going to turn this man into a vampire, and he thinks that's the best way to get revenge on him.
But this guy is obviously a upper level fighter because there's no vampire hunters, but he's learning how to kill a vampire while he's fighting an actual vampire, which is and like doing something about it too. So
also too, if I'm Sweets, I'm thinking about if this man was able to kick my ass when I was weak.
I can make an army. If I can make an army of this guy.
Yeah, the last thing I want to do is make this man mad, and then he'll be a threat against me because he'll just be as strong.
Yep, exactly. Like now he's got like a strong general, and that's what he needs to go up against the European vampires. He needs an army, and he needs strong soldiers that don't have the experience, but they can fight. And so this guy's like strategizing how to kill a vampire, which is a great weapon for Skinner Sweet, you know?
Yeah. And then just back to more of the gunfire, but now with the female and stuff like that. And pretty much we're just trying to follow Sweets in this point, but he's trying to tell her to run because, of course, you're shooting in a mine and there's probably explosives and the whole foundation is not strong at this point.
Yep.
But even this scene is like you could see how how powerful this one panel is, that you could actually imagine this falling down while you're trying
You
to
can
run
hear
out.
the rumble. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there may as well be one of those giant Indiana Jones balls behind them. Like,
Exactly.
you can tell that like they're running with the purpose. Like it's time to go or not make it out.
But like you said, this story was more so much like a movie. This is definitely like a movie scene that's just like a still storyboard image. Really great stuff.
It's nuts, man. Like, it's just like you can't imagine the levels to storytelling. Like, you think you've seen as good as it gets, and you don't necessarily see better, but you see somebody attack it in an entirely different way.
Yeah.
Like, look at these sound effects.
For sure.
That's so cool. Like, that's such a awesome page.
Yeah. And now we have pretty much the father just laying there, and it's like but at the same time you would think that Jim might bring him back, but Jim probably doesn't even realize that, hey, I'm gonna turn into the same thing that Sweets is.
Yep.
So she's pretty much like wanting to go to her father, and Jim is like, you don't want to see your father like the way he is, which is understandable. Because
he's saying that he said you better not check on me. Go see your father.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You see, is he must have some type of idea that something is different.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's the only thing I can really think, is he must see that like there's something different happening to him, and he knows he's cursed at this point. Look at that.
Man, just look at the detail in that face right there, how terrifying that is, and horrifying it is too.
Yeah, man. He got them all. They were staring at him from a distance and thought they were safe, but he made it out quick enough to kill them and keep moving.
Yeah, because he fed on the twins. Right here is the twins like we talked about.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Sweets, he probably got away, but he made sure he took some people out.
Yep.
And then we just got the fat penguin guy here.
He's such an interesting villain. Like, he's very dislikable.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, you don't even see him do much. Like, you see like the guy with like the Larry hair and the bigger guy, like pretty much all the other European vampires are doing all the fighting, and he's just standing to the side. It's like, okay, what makes you so powerful that you can't even lift up a finger except for when you want to smoke a cigar?
That's it. Yep. You see him like intimidate with his faces, but that's the only time you've really seen him bare his fangs. This is such an awesome picture.
Oh yeah. Even if it wasn't like a horror comic, just being a great Western scene for sure.
Yeah. One drop of blood was all it took.
Yeah. So
pretty much
that's what it is. Is that his teammate is like now a vampire, and he's like, you did the wrong thing. Now I'm just as powerful as you are, and I'm gonna come out and find you.
Yep. Yeah, like he's already accepting the rules. Like, so like, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna have this? Gonna be an enemy, or is this gonna be like somebody that he ends up fighting alongside with?
Yeah, of course. But overall, last week we graded a 10. What would you give this chapter?
Oh man. It's got to be a high 8.5. I don't want to do 2 10s in a row, but like I feel like so if we were reading this as a physical book, this chapter and the last chapter we read in this chapter would have been in one book, right? So this has been a 10 out of 10 book. I think that both writers really, really brought it. The only reason I feel like that's a low score is just simply because I gave last week such a high rating. I didn't really want to do it again, but looking at this book as a whole, because it tells both generations or both eras a little bit, this is A1. So yeah, 8.5, 9 out of 10.
I would definitely give it a 9 out of 10. I mean, last week we did that one a 10 out of 10 because it had the action. It had the plot twist when you found out that her best friend literally was a vampire working for them, and she was the one that stripped her friend naked and threw her in a ditch with thousands of other dead bodies. With this one was great. The artwork was great. The storyline is great, but it just focused more on pretty much his crew trying to kill him for once and for all, because they realized that, okay, we need to kill him because we know he's out for vengeance. And it's pretty much like just a vengeance story from both sides.
It was almost like it was orchestrated for him to think that they could come and get him, for him to ultimately turn the attack on them. And now he's turned one of them into him, because this guy's a vampire now. And this guy's this guy's double tough. Like, I'm so excited that this guy's a vampire.
Yeah, and maybe we're going to see why Sweets turned him into one, because let's face it, I mean, Sweets probably realized that, hey, I'm not going to kill you, but if I turn you into a vampire, once you become hungry, all of the people you love is going to become considered food to you. So maybe that's what he has in mind. We don't know. So but
no, that's good strategy. Almost like turn him into a hand grenade. If they're all together, he turns him into a vampire. His work is done.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So we move this, go to this. And that is it for this episode. Like I said, guys, next week is the 1-year anniversary. We're not going to be reviewing the chapter because we wanted to do something fun, just to celebrate a year. And, Gary, if you're still there watching, of course, we want you to come on and just have some fun with us. And, it's going to be great.
I'm excited to see how it plays out. You know, I'm excited to see how the story generator works, and like really what kind of idea can we come up with while we're still cutting up like we always do. So
and
it'll be a fun week.
Yeah. And then just if the audience has an idea out there, or anyone, like what topic we could talk about also besides the 1-year anniversary. And I'm still happy that it's 1 year. I mean, we started off with like a 1950s book, and now we're doing something with Stephen King. We had Gary on as a special guest. We had Scott Snyder on as a guest. Just really great stuff.
Yeah, and we've gotten to do books that are written by folks like Stephen King, people like Junji Ito, but then like we've also gotten into like the indie side of horror. Like we did a Russ Leach book. Gary's been on. Gary's book is awesome. Scott Snyder, like you said earlier. What other? Oh, Robert Geronimo. We did Blood Realm. Like that was such a different type of book. Yeah, but we've done horror at so many different levels, and there's been good stuff everywhere we've gone. With the exception of Hellraiser, that's the first book that I didn't enjoy. And you know what? Like I was telling you before, like I think that's part of it too, is like learning what you like and learning what you don't like, because that's fine. Like that doesn't mean that things are bad. It just means that they're not for you.
Yeah,
so
and I like
it all.
And I like the fact that sometimes we just pick topics to talk about instead of doing the book reviews, because it's fun to just talk about horror in general.
Shows.
Like
Yep.
Like if anyone
You know?
hasn't seen it, go back and watch our episode where we talk about the art of making a monster, because that was a good episode to me. I mean, just sitting down,
Yeah.
because let's face it, you know, a good pretty much a horror comic, the main focus is the monster and the people are secondary. So yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well, we're gonna end it there. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Gary. Thanks to my brother,
Rude Eats,
and our best friend growing up, Rudy, Kamikaze, Short Stort. Me, my brother, and him. We used to have like a old thing called Rough House Wrestling, where we would used to wrestle in each other's basements. We did some bad stuff where I'm probably suffering from it now. All right.
Oh man, that's so awesome. Hey, y'all be good.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And like Peter says, subscribe today if you already haven't.
Thank you, sir. That's very kind of you. And go check out Peter Palmiotti's channel too, guys. Like he's doing some cool artwork, man. Like always fun to see your stuff go up.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Bye, everyone.
All right.
Peace.
Bye. Take care.